In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take the POM Part 3 file and we're going to move into POM Part 4a, where we're going to update the project to show accomplishment of tasks. But before we start that, we're going to do a brief discussion on earned value. We're going to begin by looking at some of the standard tables in Project, and what we're going to do is we're going to open up the views, we're going to go to More Tables, and we're going to select Earned Value. We're going to begin there. We scroll this across, and we see these are the standard values that we have. The budgeted cost of work schedule, which is referred to as the plan value in the new release of Project Management Institute's body of knowledge. Then we have the budgeted cost of work performed, which is now known as earned value. We have the actual cost of work performed, which is now AC. We have a schedule variance, a cost variance, an estimate at completion, and this is going to be based on, later we'll see it's going to be based on our cost performance index, which is going to be a measure of the efficiency of how well we're earning our budget. And the BAC stands for budget at completion, or baseline cost. Okay. And then there's the variance at completion, which would be the difference between these two. So first thing, I'm going to take this column and just going to slide it over here, because we're going to be kind of working left to right as we explain what's going on. And again, the budget at completion was established when we saved our project as a baseline. Okay, and that's where you need to begin. You can't do earned value until you save your project as a baseline. Our first step into earned value is to explain what a planned value is and try to relate the concepts of our budget versus what the work we plan to do, and then eventually we're going to talk about earned value being the percent complete of a task times the budget that we had created. So let's take a look at the planned value, and the best way to do this, we're going to do a demonstration. And we're going to start here with our survey task, which we can see is 0% complete. And we want to see, well, what's our planned value really mean? And to do that, we have to go to our Project tab, and we're going to go to our Information icon. And earned value is always going to relate to the status report of our project. Rather, the planned value will relate to the status report date. So we're going to begin by, our project is supposed to start on January 3rd. So we're going to show here, we're going to set our calendar at January 2nd. And what we're going to see here is that there's no change to the planned value. Okay. And just for one more thing, we're going to insert a column here. And we're going to come down and we're just going to put the early start date. Okay. And next to that, we're going to insert the early finish date. That'll give you a feel for, we're just going to do a little housekeeping here. We're going to move the title to the right, and we're going to align the data to the right, just so that it looks a little bit prettier. And we're going to do the same thing over here, just kind of a different way. We'll take that. All right. So what we've got here is a task that was supposed to start on January 3rd, and what we notice that we haven't done anything yet. So we're going to come back to our Project tab. We're going to go to Project Information, and now we're going to set our status date not to January 2nd, but to January 3rd, which is the first completion date, or the first date of our schedule. And we had planned to accomplish $3,200 of our work. Now, where did we get that number? If we take a look at the budget at completion, that's $64,000. All right, so a couple of things we need to know. One more thing we need to know is the duration of our task. And what we see here is that this task is a 20-day duration. So at the end of day one, we should have completed 1 out of 20, or 5% of our total budget allowance for that task. Let's do one more thing. We're going to take this project and we're going to take this not to 1 day, but we'll take this to 2 days. And when we do that, that makes the numbers just a little bit easier to look at, in that as we evaluate our earned value concept, we understand that after 2 days, or 10% of the project, or the task rather, we had planned to finish, well, 10%, and that would have been 10% of our original budgeted cost. So our planned value relates to a time progression against our budget, and we have this set up in a prorated manner, meaning that every percentage we go through, if we take this to 50%, we should basically at that point have planned to spend 50% of our budget, and we can quickly demonstrate that. We need to take this, let's see, that would have been 5 days there and another 5 days there. 16th should give us 10 days. And we are off by just 1 day, so we'll take care of that. There we go, there's 2 weeks. All right, so we've now done 10 days and we've got 50% of our planned value. Notice we haven't earned any of our budget. Okay, so if I slide this across, we're introducing other columns. One is a schedule variance, meaning that by this point we should have earned half the budget, but because we haven't reported any completion, we have not earned any part of the budget. So that's just the beginning, trying to relate what the budgeted cost of work scheduled, same as the planned value, means with relation to the budget of a task and the passage of time. Next, we're going to report some progress on this task, and we're going to use the values from page 629 in the text, where it talks about the survey starting on January 3rd and actually ending 2 days late on February 2nd. So that's going to show us, it should show us a 10% overage in our task. So let's check that out. First things first, we go to our view, and we're going to go to our tracking table. Okay. This is kind of entering into part 4. And we slide this over, and the actual start date here, we're going to type in 1/3/12, and then the actual finish date was 2/2/12. Now, okay, what this is warning us, okay, I have this project set up in a fixed duration time frame, and I've just told the software that it took 22 days, and it's giving me a warning, says, wait a minute, we've gone past our 20-day limit, is this okay? And I can just click OK, because it is, just kind of verifying the date I put in. So we show a 22-day duration, and the actual cost of our work, if you will, again, this is just labor-based. We spent 880 hours, and at the labor rate for the marketing people on this task, we come up with a total amount spent of $70,400. Again, remember that our budget was $64,000 because we only planned to spend 20 days. Let's see how that impacted our value table. So we're going to come back here, and we will go to earn value. All right, let's see. We'll just do a little cleanup here. All right, a lot of things happened, and let's try to interpret them at the moment, one at a time. We see that the table got updated, showing the 22-day duration, and the budget at completion states $64,000. Now the planned value still only shows $32,000, although our actual cost, and the $1 difference, that's kind of interesting, but we're just going to write that off for the moment. We're going to take a look at this $32,000 in actual cost and say, well, why didn't that update? What we need to do is we got to come to project, and we go to project information, and we look under status date, okay? And we had ended this task on February 2nd, so we're going to go ahead and click the 2nd, and we'll click OK. All right, so what that did is now we have moved the status date up to the information we just entered, and we look at now our actual cost is updated to show the $70,400. Our EAC is, we got rid of that dollar, and we show that the planned value didn't exceed the budget because all we had planned to spend on this task was $64,000. That will never change. Now, the earned value, which is also referred to as the budgeted cost of work performed, again, the maximum you can actually earn is what you originally budgeted. So even though we spent $70,400 to get there, from the earned value methodology of tracking our project, what we did is I like to say we credited to a virtual account. We took the money out of our budget, and since we finished the task, we're going to say, okay, we've earned that value. We have accepted that part of the budget. So the plan value is finished because we reached the deadline of our task. The earned value is all there because it's the percent complete times the plan value. And the actual cost is what we really spent to get this thing done. Now, our schedule variance goes to 0 because we're finished with the task, and we have reported progress against that, so it just shows that as a 0. The cost variance is the subtraction between the earned value minus the actual cost, and that shows us as a negative $6,400. Okay, so what it's basically doing, that's tracking our performance, which again is the earned value technique. It's saying that we spent more than we should have. Our estimate at completion right now, we're going to hold off on that because this task is finished. I want to relate that to what this number means, but I have to go into another screen. So we're just going to hold off on the EAC and the variance at completion. That's going to be a different table discussion. Right now, what we're just going to do is we're just going to hide those, and we're going to also show here that our task and our tracking again has been updated to 100%. And just a little thing to notice is that of course the gray line was our original baseline, and the blue line represents the fact that we took 2 days longer than we had intended. I can stretch that out a little bit. And what you see here is that let's stretch out one more for this for effect. So this is our survey task. We went 2 days beyond that, and this is the baseline start date of the next task, is setting the product specs. And you see that because of the dependency, we're going to start this one late. Okay, so what you see here again is the gray lines are the baseline, and the progress lines are reporting in our tracking Gantt view. One other thing to note is that this was a critical task, but now that we're finished, it technically falls off the critical path list, and our critical path now begins with the second activity. All right, this was a very quick introduction to earned value, and just again to summarize, the key players in the earned value technique are the status report date, so that the software knows where you are in the timeline of your project. Then you have to be able to report progress using, again, this is the tracking Gantt view, which allows you to enter the start date and the finish date if you're there for a particular task. And we demonstrated how these impact the earned value, and also we took a look at how your start and finish dates show up on your tracking Gantt view, relating the baseline, which are again in the gray lines, to the tasks that you have, and the impact from an overall standpoint on the graphical representation of our project.